everybody, and welcome to the St. Mark's Kids Chat. We are on episode 4 of our Operation Time Machine video series that we've been doing the last couple of weeks. And the focus of this week's Bible lesson is actually what Jesus' sacrifice was for all of us, right? So our lesson can actually come from all 4 Gospels. So Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. They can all be found, this same story, in all 4 of those Gospels. So it was really describing kind of his last days here on earth. So let's just kind of go back to the things that Jesus did before his last days. So what were some amazing things that Jesus did when he was here on earth?
He raised people from the dead and cured their sickness.
He sure did. He sure did. What else? What else did he do?
He performed miracles.
Yeah.
He calmed the waves.
He calmed the waves. He did all kinds of things. So let me ask you, do you think that made the Jewish leaders happy, or do you think it made them kind of angry?
Angry.
Yeah, exactly, right? Because they were kind of showing them up a little bit, and they're like, wait a minute, this guy's saying that he's the Son of God, right?
And then one of the disciples was listening to it.
He was, exactly, and his name was Judas, right? And Judas betrayed Jesus, right? And so he actually arranged for the Roman soldiers to come and arrest him. And then what happened is they took him to the high council, and they said that, well, you claim to be the Son of God. And he says, well, yeah, that's what you guys keep calling me, is the Son of God. That's who I am. And that kind of made them angry. So they sent him over to Pontius Pilate, and Pontius Pilate actually said, hey, I don't see anything wrong here. I think that this man is innocent. But the crowd didn't like that. So they said, nope, I want you to crucify him. And they all kept chanting, crucify him. And so even though Pontius Pilate thought that he was innocent, he gave Jesus over to the Roman soldiers eventually, and he was brought to be crucified. So what was really sad was in his last days, he was beaten. They took all of his clothes, and they put this on his head, which is a crown of thorns, okay? Because he claimed to be the king of the Jews. So this was kind of like their way of making fun of him in a way, right? So pretty sad, right? Do you think that this would be comfortable on the top of your head? No.
Unless you cut off all the thorns.
Yeah, it wouldn't be comfortable with all the thorns on there. So, and they made him carry his cross all the way up the mountain, the one that he was going to be crucified on. So you know what? It was crazy. You know, in the moment that he was crucified, guess what happened? Noon turned to darkness. So in the daytime, it all of a sudden got dark, like it was midnight, like it was super, super dark. And then, do you remember that big, thick curtain that was in the temple? It tore in 2. So, which is amazing because it was made out of material that really couldn't be ripped in 2 like that. So,
like a curtain.
Yeah, so it was amazing. It was amazing what happened. And there was people like a Roman soldier who was there witnessing that. And he actually said, this man was the Son of God. So someone who was originally not a believer that he was the Son of God witnessed what happened when he died, all of these crazy things like, you know, the noon turning into darkness and then the veil being torn and all these things. And he said, this man was the Son of God. So, you know, what happened is they wrapped him up and they put him in a tomb. And then what happened 3 days later?
He rose.
He rose from the dead. Exactly. He rose from the dead. So he appeared to a bunch of people, right, during that time, and he says, Don't be worried, don't be afraid, you know, this is my plan, right? So let's come down here. We're going to talk a little bit more about the plan that Jesus had with him being raised from the dead, okay? So come on over here, Maxie. So what I have here is a bowl of water, and then I have a little bit of water with food coloring and a candle in it. So let me ask you something. Do you know the reason why Jesus had to die? Why did Jesus have to die?
To save us from our sin.
To save us from our sin, exactly. So what I want you guys to think about is this water in here, I want you to think of that as our sin, okay? And then I want you to think about this candle that I'm about to light, right here. This candle is going to represent Jesus. If I can get it to light. It's lighting. There it goes.
Finally.
So this candle is going to represent Jesus, okay? So what happened is that, you know, he was crucified and his earthly body passed away, right? But in order for that to happen, that had to happen in order for us to have eternal life. So let's talk about that. I'm going to cover this up really quickly. So I want you to watch what happens in the water. What's happening?
It's like growing.
It's sucking up all of the sin. Do you see that? Whoa.
Sucking.
Isn't that amazing? It's sucking up all of the sin. And then the flame went out, right? So, because Jesus' body died, right? So, but he actually still lives, right? So I'm gonna take this off so you can kind of see. He absorbed all of our sin, right? He sucked it all up. He took it away, right? But he is still very much alive, right? He's still very much alive. So even though his body, right, even though his body was crucified and all of that, his spirit lives on, right? Does Jesus live forever? Yes. And can we live forever with Jesus if we are believers, right? So it is like, I want to share a verse with you too, right, real quick. So this right here is a verse called John 3:16. And it says, "For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son," right? So that we can have eternal life. So this was God's plan the entire time, for us to be able to be forgiven. So this verse right here, it can almost be kind of the gospel summed up and summarized all in one verse, right? So the message of Jesus all in one verse, kind of in John 3:16. So it was an ultimate act of forgiveness. And do you guys remember in the time machine video when the grandpa forgave his grandchildren for messing around with his time machine, right? So it's just like that, right? So he could have punished them, right? But he didn't. Instead, he forgave them, right? And Jesus, we have forgiveness because we are believers in Jesus and because God sent his only Son to take away our sin. Alrighty, everybody, have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye.